Hello, it's Crypto CJ. It's Trade of the Day, Friday afternoon Zoom edition. Yesterday was a glorious day in crypto. The judge on the SEC versus Ripple case swatted down the SEC. XRP is not a security, at least in the way in which we usually acquire it, through an exchange or, a DEX or something like that. They did say it was a security in such that it's offered to institutional investors, but I don't think we have any institutional investors on the call today. So as far as we're concerned, not a security. Its price doubled in a day. Bitcoin and a lot of altcoins followed suit, especially those that were named in prior SEC actions. Matic and Solana did really well too. But that was yesterday. Today we had a bit of a correction, pullback, whatever you want to call it. So I'm curious to see if we hold this level, this 30K on Bitcoin, and that forms a really hard bottom. We've talked about it before. Let's look at the Bitcoin chart, and then we'll look at some specific trade opportunities in Altcoin Alert. All right, should be seeing my Bitcoin hour chart.
Yep.
Thank you. And let's go back to the day, get the broader view. Okay, I've had this channel drawn for a while now, since probably, I don't know, I don't even remember anymore. Got the low down here at 20,000. I should probably draw another one in here with got another support area here around 25K, and then the most recent, since late June here at around 30K. It's touched multiple times and bounced back up. It dipped briefly below it. That's why I had the 1 hour here, right around noon Pacific time, and then it's bouncing back up, and we're above 30K now. So big move yesterday, gave it all back today. What does that mean for the future? Hard to tell. But as a day trader, I'm not always all that incredibly concerned about such things, but I just want to catch those small moves and pile them up. All right, so that's Bitcoin. Anybody have any comments or questions about that before we look at Ethereum?
I was just going to say, I suspect that was some of the big players that everyone would have been expecting it to go up. And so a lot of people would have bought on the up and they forced it down to clean out the market. I think it's more likely to go up from here than previous one.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's look at, I got Ethereum up here, and got the day chart and some ranges on the bottom and on the top. This is from earlier in the week, actually from last week. It broke through yesterday and closed above 2,000. That was encouraging, but it gave most of it back today. See, we're at 1925. I drew another line here when I was prepping for this at 1850, and you can see a bunch of touches here, on the day chart. So it wouldn't surprise me if we did get a drop down here, a bounce, and a takeoff. So there was additional news I just saw a little while ago that the SEC did accept the ETF proposals from BlackRock and some of the other institutions that are looking to make Bitcoin available to their investors. That just means it's accepted. It means they, didn't forget a sentence or something like like last week, or was it earlier this week when the SEC reported some of the applications were wrong and the market dumped 10% or something like that. It's essentially a market correction for a typo, but anyway, but I digress. So Ethereum and Bitcoin are looking pretty good for the weekend. We'll see if these levels hold and get a nice pump next week. As you know, the volume frequently drops to some degree over the weekend, so it tends to favor short trades as opposed to longs, but you can also get in some good positions on the weekend if you're more of a swing trader. So we are going to look at Altcoin Alert and see if we can find some of those types of trades. Any questions or comments on the markets overall before we do that? All right, let's go. Okay, we do have some new people that have joined us. Got Bud here for the first time, and probably some new folks watching on the recording, as people asked to join my list this week from Altcoin Alert. So I'm gonna go a little slower today than I would ordinarily. So for you OGs out there, relax, take it in, refresh yourself, or and feel free to speak up if you have some different interpretations or experiences about what I talk about. Okay, so this is the Altcoin Alert page. I've got the altcoin radar selected so I can see all the various options. I'm going to right click and reload. And then I'm going to sort. My first sort is usually by AA score. So I'm going to click this and it should sort for me unless my computer's slow. Okay, there we go. I'm looking for values 80 and above for long trades. Now I trade on leverage, so I trade both directions, but if you're new to day trading and short-term swing trading, you should do what we call spot trades. That's just when you're trading the actual amount. You're not borrowing any money from an exchange to bolster your position. So when I talk about spot trades, that's going to be a trade to the long side that we want to go up. And when I'm talking about short trades, that's something that profits when it goes down. But we're gonna focus mostly on long trades today for those trading spot. We'll talk about some short options a little later. So I've sorted by the AA score. This Aon keeps coming up. It's not really available on an exchange that most of us trade on. If you're trading spot, and you're in the US, you're probably using Coinbase. If you're outside the US, you might be on Binance or Bybit or KuCoin or something like that. So I'm going to focus on the US and those trades available on Coinbase. So at the moment, we've got Solana with an 81.3 score, AA score. So that's telling us there's an 81.3% chance that Solana should go at 3% or more in the next 48 to 72 hours. And at the moment, or for the 24 hours, it's up 3.3%, not bad. And let's look at the Solana chart. Got it handy here. Let's look at the 5-minute first. What I'm usually looking for, the first thing I look for is a dip sequence. I want to catch something dipping and then shooting up, and we are pretty close. We just missed one. If you've seen the iCoin Pro video about how to do the 1, 2, 3 dip, you should understand what I'm talking about. If you haven't yet, if you are new, I usually send that link out for my Monday Zooms. So you'll get that link and that training probably on Sunday when I send out that email. So be on the lookout for that. But essentially, we're looking for 3 dips, just like it sounds. First, we look for a squeeze here on the Bollinger Bands. These green lines are Bollinger Bands. And then a bubble. See how it's bubbling out? There's a 1, 2, and we get our 3rd dip here. So we want to get in right around here after the 3rd dip. And we're looking for a move up to the SMA line, which is that red line. And that's a 3.5% move. It's a really good day trade. And we just hit it right about here. Maybe we just missed it. About an hour and a half, get a 3% move on Solana. So that's a really good entry on a 1, 2, 3 dip. We're a little late for it though. That happened a couple hours ago, but I just wanted to show you an example of a 1, 2, 3 dip. That's my favorite strategy, and so what I'm usually looking for when I first open up a chart. It's usually not happening when I look at a chart. I have to set some alerts to let me know when it's happening. We'll go over those in a moment. Now you might be wondering, okay, CJ, I get in this 1, 2, 3 dip. Where do I get out? Well, you can use this SMA line as a guide. I also like support and resistance. Let me show you an example of resistance. Here's some resistance right here. You see these multiple touches here. So that would be one instance of resistance. Then you have another one here. It's an art more than a science, so it doesn't have to be exact, but you're looking where there's multiple touches, where it's having a hard time breaking through. Then finally you have another group of candles here. So we've got resistance 2647, give or take, 2750, and 2825. So you could choose any of those areas as your take profit, or you could just sit here and stare at it. I prefer to lock in my take profit right away. On a spot trade, I usually go for this middle amount. If it's, say, below 2%, I might, I usually look at actually what percentages are potential profit. So the first one we looked at, getting in right about here, was around 3%. This one is 7, almost 8%, and this one is over 10%. Now we've had an unusually volatile market the last couple days due to the XRP ruling. So if you were to watch this video, say in a slower period of time when there's a lot less volatility, you might evaluate the situation differently. But if I see that my first area of resistance, it gives me over a 3% move, I probably take that as my take profit. But let's say that only shows me a 0.7% move. Then I might look at this middle value, and maybe this one's up to, say, 1.5 or 2%. And then this one up here is up to 3.5 or 4%. I probably take the middle one there. I'll pick up that 1 or 2% and be content with that. So that's how I would evaluate that as a take profit. So I'm gonna get rid of these. I don't want them cluttering up my chart. Okay, let's say you aren't lucky enough to look at this at 1:40 p.m. Pacific, and you're a little late. So now we're hanging around the SMA line, kind of right in the middle. Maybe another squeeze happening. This is no man's land. So you could look for another drop down to this area, see if it comes back, and put an alert like this. Right click on your trading view, add an alert. I like round numbers, so I probably go 2530. And this was an AA score, so I usually type in the alert name of my information source. You can use whatever you want. Then your notifications. I was doing some auto trading stuff, so I like these options here. Notify an app, so that'll be on the TradingView app on my phone. Show a pop-up. That'll show me a message on my desktop computer, and play a sound also on my desktop computer. And then I like this one, 3 notes reverb for these types of strategies. Click create, and then you're good to go. But I'm not going to do that because that's not how I usually do my alerts. That's the easiest way to do it. So when that triggers, look at the structure and see if it resembles a 1, 2, 3 dip or something else that's desirable to you as a trader. You may have other strategies you want to implement, so you can go ahead and do that with that alert. You don't have to jump in just because the alert goes off. Now, what I like to do is set alerts on various strategies and indicators on the 15-minute chart. So I'll show you why in a minute. I thought I got rid of these. All right. So this is more advanced. If you're a new trader, you probably don't want to deal with this yet. But I do have people at different experience levels watching this. So what I'm showing you now is a divergence indicator. I didn't trade with divergence until I'd been trading for nearly 2 years. So if this is over your head, don't worry about it. There's other methods like the one I just showed you and a couple other things I'm going to show you. But divergence is a disagreement between the candle action and the indicators. And what I'm using now is from TradingView. This is divergence from any indicators. Type in divergence and it'll come up. It's this one here by Lonesome version 4. Click on that and that will load on your chart. I made some adjustments to it to get the colors I like. So that's easy enough to do. If you're curious about that, then I can do a video. I've done videos about that kind of thing before, but I digress. So what I'm looking for, especially on the long side, I'm focusing on spot trades at the moment. See, we got these bullish divergences are pretty good. So this one went off here. It went We picked up 2.5%, which is right up there to that level. So that would be good. And that trade, triggered a couple days ago. Again, these from Wednesday night, obviously got pumped up yesterday and were profitable. These more recent ones did well. This one got 4%. This one went down first, came back up. Didn't quite hit 1%. You might still be in this trade if you took that one. So, pretty good. A couple of these were misleading. I mean, it doesn't work all the time or really even close. I mean, you might get about 60% success rate depending on what your targets are. But what I like about Divergence is you can right click on here, add an alert. It's very alert friendly. We're gonna be looking for positive divergence on spot trading. I like once per bar close. That keeps it on until you turn it off. And the alert name again is going to be AA score purchase. And my notification should be, usually remembers what I did last time. Oh, I didn't keep that alarm last time. So I'm going to notify an app, show a pop-up, and play a sound, and 3 notes reverb, and create. So that's my divergence alert. Any questions on that? Okay, something that's simpler to use and understand is SuperTrend. Now, divergence and the 1, 2, 3 dip are sort of contrarian. We're trying to catch dips and then profit when those start to come back. But on the SuperTrend, it's trying to identify a trend and then ride that trend. So I trade both ways, both with the trend and sort of against it. Not necessarily against it, but again, dip trades and divergence. So when I look at these alerts, I'm looking to see if they worked recently. So on this sell, that got a 2% move. That's pretty good. This buy did really well, catching that move up there. That sell did well. And this buy caught that huge move. And then the sell caught that move down. So, and then I look at, for trend-based indicators, you're going to have what we call a confirmation, usually a couple other indicators to confirm your super trend indicator alert. This buy one is confirmed by the RSI trending up and this momentum indicator turning green. So that's a trade I would have taken and obviously done really well. Of course, it's easy to look back and say, yeah, I would have done that. To be honest, I wouldn't have caught a move that large. I would have looked at, if I was trading spot, I probably would have looked at this area. If I knew about, let's see, when did this trigger? Yeah, this was Wednesday night, so this is before the XRP thing. I probably would have looked at this area, I think, as resistance. Caught this move up about 2 or 3%. You can monitor things and try to get bigger moves. I've never had much success with that. There are trailing stops and some, more complex trade closing options through various exchanges, but it takes a while to learn how to use those. And what I like about the super trend is it's really easy to use. Add or put alert on it. Add an alert, super trend buy, once per bar close, and again, AA score. Since I'm trading on leverage both directions, I usually go with the direction change. And if you think this is going to drop over the weekend, you might want to go with a sell option. So, any questions on super trend? Okay, the final strategy that I like to apply to the 15-minute chart is using the RSI, Relative Strength Index. So when this value drops below 30 and crosses back up, that's a good sign of a dip and a recovery. And this has been my best strategy the last probably 2 months. And then the same thing works on the short side. When it goes up and drops, that's something that you can short. If you would have shorted this, you probably would have had a loss. So that drops here, goes down a little bit, and then shoots up. So you don't want it going up when you're in a short. But let's stay focused on spot trades. So in this scenario, we want the value to come below this 30, which is considered oversold, and then go back up again. And obviously, the big pump we had on Thursday is going to make all of these profitable. Let's look at something more recent. This one here, we probably don't know yet. This dropped below the 30 around noon Pacific, and then went up a little bit, then dropped again. So you'd have had 2 alerts going off here, and you'd probably still be in that trade. So if you took this one, you're probably still in it. There are some money management options that where you can make additional purchases if it goes against you and then it comes back and you get out sooner. It moves your entry position. That's more advanced stuff. That's what I call ladder buying or dollar cost averaging. There are a lot of names for it, but that's probably what I would have done in that situation. But let's look at the strategy and figure out how it works. I'm going to use my vertical line to show when it occurs. And we have this one here from Wednesday night. As you can see, it went sideways and then shot up. So that would have been a good trade. And again, on the long side, we had this one I just talked about a minute ago. Goes down a few percent, then back up. Maybe you're probably still in that trade. Had you gotten this entry instead, if you're looking for a big move, you'd probably still be in it looking for, resistance at this level here around 28.20, or again, this level up here, around 29.70. Those could be your take profits on a spot trade. But on a leverage trade, I'm usually looking for a 1% move on the chart at 10x leverage. So I would have gotten in right about here. And had I not been busy this morning with personal stuff, I would have taken this trade and been out pretty quickly. I would have had my 1% times 10x leverage. That's a 10% trade. But even not using leverage, if you're making 1, 2, 3% profits on your trades with some consistency, you can build your balance pretty quickly. And okay, well, how do we do an alert on this? That's a little trickier, but not much. I'm going to right click here in the RSI, add an alert. And if I'm spot trading, I just want longs. So we're going to be crossing up on the 30 value. Go once per bar close and AA score purchase. Let's look at my notifications. All right, that's what I want. Click create. And if I hover over this, it'll show me I've got that alert set. And then if I look over here, it'll show me that these Solana alerts that I have. Okay. So I've got those 2 alerts set. We'll see if anything happens tonight. Any questions about what I've shown you? I've gone through a lot, and especially if this is new to you, you might have questions. If it's a bit overwhelming, I'll send everybody the replay either tonight or tomorrow, and you can watch this again and maybe jot down some questions and join me again on Monday. We can go over some things. Okay, last chance before we look for something else. Very well. I'm going to head over to Altcoin Alert and do a different sort. And I'm going to go faster on evaluating these coins, so I don't put my experienced folks to sleep. Anyway, so that's the AA score. I'm going to right click and reload. And another sort I like to do is a long-term sentiment. So I'm going to sort by that. And you can hover over the question mark and get a description for what that is. I'm not going to read it to you. It's essentially what people are talking about on Twitter. And then I'm going to match that up with the Elder Impulse, which is a technical indicator. So if the sentiment and the technicals line up, I want to investigate that further. So got LDO is very bullish on long-term sentiment and bullish on the Elder Impulse. That's something I want to look at. XRP is bullish. Rose I've traded before. ADA, got a lot of blue chips here. And INJ I've traded before. So there's a lot to choose from. I usually choose one of these. I usually choose one AA score, one sentiment, maybe one other sort, and then those are the three I follow, two or three I follow throughout the day. Okay, let's go with, okay, just switched on me. I don't recall AVAX being there. Let's look at XRP, why not? Okay, on the 5-minute chart, had a pretty big dip sequence earlier, made a decent recovery from that. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 5 dipper. I probably would have gotten in around here. So my way of trading, I would have gotten in here. My trading software would have picked up probably 3 additional purchases, 2 or 3, and then it would have ridden it back up here, and I would have gotten out. My first position would have been a small loss, and my second 2 would have been profitable. So overall, when you combine the 3, a profitable trade. I also have a stop loss built in case it really goes against me. So let's see. Okay, so but we're too late for that. I don't really see anything that appeals to me. I might put, if I didn't want to deal with the indicators I just showed you, instead just wanted to set a price alert. You got support down here at like just below 68 cents. That might be a good place to put a price alert. All right, we're going to go over to the 15-minute chart and the indicators. See if divergence would have been useful. All these just before the pump would have been a disaster, as with this one. But this divergence and this one did pretty well on the short side. On the long side, again, it's contrarian, so it's trying to use this data to predict. And sometimes it's right, sometimes not. Probably still be in these trades that I use divergence. So I'm not liking what I see on divergence. So in that situation, I turn it off. I go to my SuperTrend to see if that has better, more recent results. And yeah, when there's a big move like this, it really distorts the page. That sell would have not have done well, but all the other alerts did. The buy alert obviously did really well. This sell looks like eventually did okay. Well, maybe not. I would have been stopped out on that one. So you might, and this is this situation where one direction's not doing well, but the other is. I just do an alert on one side. And this recent buy didn't do very well either. So not liking SuperTrend for this. To be honest, the big volatile moves, though they look really cool, if you're on the right side, aren't necessarily very good for day traders who trade both directions, which we really want to see is this kind of action. And we don't have that right now with XRP for obvious reasons. This may have been a bad example. All right, so I don't like what I see on the super trend. So let's look at our RSI. Pull out that vertical line. Any of these long positions before the pump did well, obviously. This short would have been here, would have had that would have done pretty well. And then the next one, It's probably here. The next long position looks like it dips below and then bounces back up. Might still be in that trade. Yeah, or it might have been stopped out depending on your stop loss area. So most of the RSI options look pretty good, but not every one of them. So I don't think I'm going to put an alert on any of these. Okay, any questions on XRP before we look at another one? Okay. And on Fridays, I like to look for a short. You can sort this way for longs. You can also sort it for shorts. So I like to short the long-term sentiment, look for something bearish on both the sentiment and the elder impulse. We've got that on ILV, bearish on both. XYO, and it has to be a coin that actually is on an exchange where you can trade it long or short on leverage, as we usually say. And it looks like that ILV is the only one. I believe that is on Bybit. See if it's in my list. I haven't looked at that one in a while. There it is. All right, let's look at the 5-minute real quick, see if we can find something to short. So instead of a 1, 2, 3 dip, we want a 1, 2, 3 pump, something like this. Though it really only goes 1, 2, it kind of drops after the second pump. It's not a real good structure. So I don't know if I like that, but let's see what the indicators have for us. Okay, divergence. I think these would have done okay. This one's hard to say. Yeah, eventually this would have gone against us pretty bad. If it doesn't resolve before the big pump, then yeah, it's not going to work out. So these 4 divergences didn't do very well, but this one, these 3 did. And then we've got some bullish divergences here. I'm looking for my 1%. You're on spot. Well, actually, we're supposed to be focusing on shorts right now. So these 3 most recent ones did really well on the short side. So we'll consider that. On SuperTrend, yeah, the sell did really well. Nice drop there. This one, again, with the money management, it probably would have been okay. Yeah. Again, that's going to work out pretty well for my 1% at 10x leverage. So the sells look pretty good on SuperTrend. On our RSI, we've got a drop here. That's a good one there. Another drop here that does not do well. And that one might have worked. Probably not. That probably would have been a loss. This one might have worked with some money management. None of these are really clear cut. Yeah, that one worked. It would have worked out on the short side. That's a big move down. So the rest of them, most of them work on the RSI. So I kind of like that approach, either RSI or SuperTrend for finding your weekend short. The divergence wasn't as good. Okay, any questions on ILV? All right, we're at about 35 minutes, which is usually where I like to wrap it up. Do you have any questions overall about day trading in general? Maybe another coin you want to look at on Altcoin Alert? Anything like that? Okay.
I was gonna ask you something.
Okay.
Yeah, what's your favorite for day trading and swing trading? What exchange do you normally use?
It's a good question. For spot trading, I use Coinbase.
Coinbase.
Yeah, for leverage trading, which is, how shall I say, frowned upon in the US, you have to jump through some hoops and do a little sneakiness to get on a foreign exchange to do that.
Yeah.
It's probably beyond the scope of this Zoom call to go over those options,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
if you want to email me about them, I'll let
Okay.
you know.
The same thing as I was going to ask about KuCoin. That was they taking U.S. Customers. My friend told me not that they want to get.
The alternate approach will work on KuCoin as well. So
Okay.
we'll but again, this is outside the scope of this. So, well, you know what? I forgot I got longer than usual. My next Zoom isn't for 20 minutes. So what some of us have been doing is something called the Island of Palu Digital Citizenship ID. You can become a digital citizen of this island. It's, I don't know, I think east of Malaysia or something like that. But you can apply for it and you go through the KYC process with them. So you have to show your license and do a picture and all that, which is the same KYC approach you do with a foreign exchange or even Coinbase. But it's a process. It's around 240, 250 a year. So it's annual. You have to decide if you're a serious enough trader to part with that much money. If you're not, then don't do it. If you want to trade every day or frequently like I do and some of the folks on this call, then you might want to check into it. I can email me for a link or just go to, I think it's RNS. It's the company that provides it. And the process takes 4 to 6 weeks. You get an ID and you can pass KuCoin KYC with that. You can pass KYC with Bybit and BitGet as well if you want to trade leverage. So I think you're muted, bud.
I said I've heard of BitGet. A Taiwanese friend trades on it. I think it's out of Singapore.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say if you want to trade leverage and there's a new one called there's a new leverage trade exchange called BingX. So that would be another option. And I think you can trade spot on that as well. So again, send me an email and I'll send you that information.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good question. Any others? All right, I will wrap it up here. And if you're watching on the recording, thanks for doing that. Hope to see you live next time, but check out the opportunities in the pinned comment. They help support the channel. If you're in Carbon, we have a structure change. We will start a new Zoom on a new link at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. So I'll see you Carbonites later. The rest of you have a good weekend. Bye.